What if I told you the San Francisco 49ers just got great news during what has been a tough and nightmarish season? That is indeed true. Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr. No matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making this show a part of your day, your evening, your morning. Putting this out on New Year's Eve, so hope you're having a great New Year's Eve. If you're watching on the 31st, if you're watching on New Year's Day, happy 2025. So the 49ers 2024 season, it's been an ugly one, but the 2025 schedule figures to be a lot easier. We're going to run through all of the opponents that the Niners are set to face, and I have thoughts on every single matchup. We can flush what has happened this past year and look ahead to next season. Spend 2025 and beyond with us right here on the Niners Report. Be sure to hit that sub button for daily and year-round Niners coverage. We are 240 people away from 154,000 subscribers. Let's get there. Hit that sub button. So, purpose of today's show, talking about the Niners 2025 schedule. We just want to forget what happened this past year and maybe just flush it and use it as an example. Use it as motivation for this football team to get back on track. And it's official. The Niners, right now 6-10, will finish last in the NFC West regardless of what happens against Arizona in Week 18. And so because of that, the Niners next season will play a last place schedule. This year, the Niners played the NFC North and the AFC East. Next year, they will play opponents from the NFC South and the AFC South. And within that, San Francisco will play other last place teams. And the benefits of having a bad year, albeit it's been a maddening season for San Francisco, it's an opportunity for this team to refresh and reset, get a breath of fresh air, get healthy and recharge. They're going to get a better draft pick. Hopefully that player is going to be able to be a marquee player for this football team for the next 10 years. But the purpose of today's show, as I noted, the Niners going to have a much easier schedule in 2025 compared to 2024. And as we know, going into this year, the Niners had a massive rest disadvantage. It was a minus 31-day rest disadvantage. That didn't help matters for a team that didn't have a lot of rest over the last several off seasons, playing deep into the year, making it to NFC Championship games and Super Bowls. And also San Francisco had to play a really difficult schedule because last year they won the NFC West. And so with that, we flip the page to the opponents for San Francisco in 2025. We don't know when these games will be. That'll happen during the spring, summer, during the NFL schedule release show. But we know who and where the Niners will be playing. Home slate, divisional games, of course, against the Arizona Cardinals, Seattle Seahawks, Los Angeles Rams, and then elsewhere. Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers will make their way to Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. So too will the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Tennessee Titans, and the Chicago Bears. As for the Niners' away schedule in 2025, once again, the divisional teams, Cardinals, Seahawks, Rams, and then the Niners will have to go on the road to play the New Orleans Saints, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts, the New York Giants, and the Cleveland Browns. Already, I know your mind is working. Niners make some changes. There are some very winnable games, obviously in an all-too-early type of mentality for San Francisco next year. So the schedule advantage here, and where this really comes into play, the Niners will play the Bears, Giants, and Browns instead of the Packers, Cowboys, and Bengals. So you miss out on Jordan Love, Dak Prescott coming back, although I love playing the Cowboys and beating the Cowboys, and Joe Burrow, who, if the Bengals record was a little bit better, he'd win MVP. Most touchdowns, most passing yards in the NFL this year. He's been better than Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. So with that, today's poll question is this: your early prediction. How many games will the Niners win next year? Join the conversation down in the comment section and then revisit it this time next year to see how right you were. Today's 49ers Report, sponsored by our friends at PrizePicks. We love partnering up with them, the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. run your game all season long on PrizePicks because, you know the deal. It's playoff time, and it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with PrizePicks. Right now, when you play $5, you can win $50. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. $50 your way when you play 5 is guaranteed. Some selections that we like as part of our lineup for Week 18. Baker Mayfield, he's been humming. More than 268.5 passing yards. Justin Jefferson in that big game between the Vikings and the Lions. More than 93.5 receiving yards. And then Aaron Rodgers less than 225.5 passing yards against Miami. It's Daily Fantasy Sports made easy. Pick 2 or more players, choose more or less on their projected stats, and you can win some big-time money. Run your game with PrizePicks. Let's run through this schedule game by game. Arizona. Niners suffered an ugly loss to the Cardinals back in Week 5, in which they were blanked in the second half after controlling the game in the first 30 minutes. One of the stories of this 2024 campaign. Arizona, I will say, an improving competitive team, pretty well coached. The question, Kyler Murray has played well for like half of seasons, 3/4 of seasons, and then the Cardinals have fallen apart in the final month. Will Kyler be the quarterback? Rumblings once again. It's not the hardest worker in the world. Seattle Seahawks. Niners split with Seattle this year. When they won that Thursday night game, you're thinking, did the Niners turn their season around? But then the second loss of the season to Seattle, when Geno Smith ran it into the end zone, untouched. It was a backbreaker for San Francisco. That ended the Niners season. I said it at the time, at the date of that game, in the postgame show. Today ended the Niners season. Didn't see how San Francisco was going to be able to come back from that. I was right. They didn't. Seattle, though, did last longer in playoff contention as compared to the Niners. I think they're a good offensive line away from being really dangerous. They have a legitimate head coach in Mike McDonald. He's really good. Los Angeles Rams, great rivalry, too, with San Francisco in addition to Seattle and Arizona. Sean McVay now has 6 double-digit winning seasons in 8 years. Some long-term questions offensively with the Rams. Matthew Stafford, how much gas does he have left in the tank? Cooper Kupp has looked like a cooked product. Puka Nacua is balling, but they've invested in the offensive line, have a good running game. That young defense really starting to emerge. Atlanta Falcons, the Michael Penix era is underway. And against Washington on Sunday Night Football, he missed some throws, but I really liked how decisive he was. He really knew where to go with the football. I think he will get better with time. I think the accuracy will come because I saw it at Washington. I saw it at Indiana. They are talented on the offensive side of the football. Kyle Pitts, if he can ever turn the corner. Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. Not a bad offensive line. Defensively, they need to improve and get a little bit younger, but a solid team right there, which still has an opportunity to win a bad NFC South. Carolina Panthers in that NFC South. How about the improvements for Bryce Young this year? Shout out to head coach Dave Canales. I mean, Bryce Young looked like a huge bust last year, and people were mocking the Panthers for taking Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud was terrific as a rookie. He's had a sophomore slump. Bryce Young of late has played better than C.J. Stroud. Nobody could have anticipated that at the end of last year, but still, Panthers are a few years away. In my opinion, the Niners should be able to handle the Panthers easily. Jacksonville Jaguars. We know that Trevor Lawrence is going to be the quarterback. They do have some dogs on the offensive and defensive side of the football, but will Doug Peterson, head coach, Trent Baalke, general manager, you know him well, be back? Talent's there. Defense has been a mess. Not a great run organization. Tennessee Titans, one of the worst teams in football. If you have to subject yourselves to watching the Titans on Sundays, I feel bad for you. Have to hit on a quarterback in the 2025 NFL Draft. Will Levis is far from the answer. I was saying this when he was a backup to Sean Clifford at Penn State and couldn't beat him out. Did some good stuff at Kentucky with Liam Cohen, who's now the Buccaneers offensive coordinator, but he's not a starter in this league, at least right now. We've seen the resurrection seasons for Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Zach Wilson could be next. Bryce Young turned his career around a little bit. He's been playing good football. The problem for Tennessee and other teams in need of a quarterback, there are 2 quarterbacks in this class I like, and I don't really love them. That's Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. Last year, where would they rank in that quarterback class? Not ahead of Caleb Williams, not ahead of Jaden Daniels, not ahead of Drake May, Not ahead of Bo Nix if you can redo that evaluation. Chicago Bears. Niners played one of their best games against Chicago back a few weeks ago. They gave us false hope. We were thinking maybe the Niners can make the playoffs and get hot like they did in 2022 and 2021 after those slow starts. This team was flawed all year long. Caleb Williams has a ton of talent. That Bears ownership group and the front office structure, it's a disaster. They need to hit on a culture-changing head coach. The talent is there on that team. New Orleans Saints, playing down there in the Big Easy, it's a difficult place to play. It gets really, really loud. We all remember Jimmy Garoppolo to George Kittle in that massive game, picking up yak. That was incredible. Those Saints teams, much different and much better than the current iteration of the Saints. New Orleans in cap hell, and I don't see how they turn it around quickly. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, really good team, who the Niners did beat coming out of the bye. Jake Moody missed a couple of field goals in that game, and then he hit the game winner. The redemption for Moody, unfortunately, that didn't turn his season around. He's been terrible. And on Monday Night Football, what did he do? Missed 2 more field goals, an extra point, and then kicked that onside kick all the way across the Pacific Ocean to Hawaii. Baker Mayfield's awesome. That defense starting to turn the corner. They're running it with authority. I think the Buccaneers are here to stay. Houston Texans. Kyle Shanahan gets an opportunity to take on DeMeco Ryans. And as part of this Kyle Shanahan tree this season, he lost to Sean McVay. He lost to Matt LaFleur. He lost to Mike McDaniel. Can he get a win against DeMeco? And can Houston get C.J. Stroud back on track? Bobby Slowick, who was the Niners pass game coordinator, OC for the Texans the last 2 years, last year did well. This year, not good. Will he be back next year? We will see. Indianapolis Colts. I thought what Pat McAfee said, as a former all-pro punter, people want to knock him for being a punter, but he cares about the Colts. He lives in Indianapolis. He played there for years. He devotes his time and energy to being a Colts fan still. He's been a season ticket holder, but said next year no more. He blasted the Colts culture. Players showing up late, players not caring, coaches being arrogant. Are we due for a regime change in Indianapolis? I also don't think Anthony Richardson is for real. Accuracy concerns with him, and is Shane Steichen cooked? Should be a winnable game as well. New York Giants, one of the worst teams in football. Will New York have a new quarterback, head coach, and general manager? I'm leaning in that direction. Cleveland Browns, Kyle Shanahan, 0-9 all-time against Jim Schwartz. This could be a bad weather game. Look out, Brock Purdy. He does not fare well in inclement weather. For San Francisco here to round this out, make some coaching changes. Make some roster moves. Get creative with the cap. Get healthy. Fortify the lines. Offensive line, defensive line. Niners do that, they'll be back. Be sure to hit that sub button. Happy New Year, everybody. And we'll catch you next time here on the show.